currently still in their ballpark.
Okay, so the three of you just kind of sit in silence until something occurs. Okay, fantastic.
Well,
I mean,
for how long?
Who's there?
Yeah, I mean,
interface. So...
I would say there's going to be about a half an hour that passes with nothing happening.
And are any of these people in the room with
Nope.
us, or do they just like put us in this shack?
They just put you in this shack. They don't, like, what you have to understand is, and maybe this is the realization you come to, prisoners are not a thing that these people do, right? Like, prisoners are not a, like, thing that occurs in this society. It's eat or be eaten.
I'm sure this is totally going to be okay, and I'll be laughing about this in the future.
Fisher, your optimism knows no bounds.
I think everybody realizes that I rolled a nat 1 on that persuade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just shivers around the room.
Due to the deadpan it received. Yes.
So, are we just to wait for them? What is our plan here? We're not in much position to bargain, but you know.
Perhaps they are discussing it? How long do we think that will take?
Well, if they were going to kill us, they would have done it as soon as we arrived. So, I don't think that will be the case. So, I think we still have the right to be at least somewhat hopeful of this situation.
Yeah, and I think probably at that, you hear, like, maybe some, like, minor, muffled, like, raspy voices at the door. And you hear something being, like, removed, like maybe a bar on the other side of the door. And it kind of opens inward and kind of blows a little bit of, like, a snowdrift in. And standing in the doorway is this figure who appears to be, like, a hunched-over old woman. Again, she has no hair, and she's got that kind of black and charred skin. And you notice her eyes are almost white, as if she was blind. And she's got this gnarled walking stick that kind of comes up and curves around into, like, a knot at the end of it. And hanging off it are a variety of what I can only describe to you, because this will be the best way to explain it, like shamanistic talismans. There are feathers from a variety of birds. There are scales from a variety of reptiles. There's teeth from a variety of different types of animals. It is not lost upon you that there are very clearly human teeth as well on this this walking stick. And there are definitely things that none of you recognize kind of hanging from this. And so it kind of jangles a little bit as she takes a step and, like, places it in. And she takes, like, one step in, and you notice there are two more individuals who walk in, and different kind of from everybody else who is wearing these rags, these two individuals appear to be wearing definitely an older style, but they appear to be wearing, like, combat field uniforms. But they're kind of torn, kind of ripped. They're not in the best condition, but they look like they still serve a purpose. And also, Oscar being the tactically minded one, they're also holding weapons in their arms that look like combat rifles. Although it's a variety you don't quite recognize. Again, they also look kind of old. Most of the paint has been scored off of it, and it's mostly just, like, metal. But you recognize the distinctive shape of it. And they kind of like almost push past her and kind of like walk in and just have their weapons kind of at the low ready, pointed at the ground, like ready to bring them up in a moment's notice. And this older woman with this, she walks in, she just, the clunk, and then the as she kind of like, just, jams it in the gravel. And she kind of looks at the group of you and kind of like leans to the left a little bit to observe all of you, and then leans to the right to observe all of you. And then she begins speaking. Although, Dr. Fisher, I need you to roll me a Culture Yuri Pylos check.
Alright, int.
Yeah.
Basic.
You were a dutiful student during your social studies courses. You recognize that she is speaking an ancient dialect of Yuri Pylosian. It would be like somebody speaking Latin to us today. And she's that same raspy voice, the but none of you understand what she's saying. And it's clear that she may have asked a question, because she says something and then kind of sits there expectantly.
Is there no way I could try to attempt a very bad real-time translation?
You could try, yeah. I think that's actually going to be a language check.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a 0 in language. Could I at least maybe not know what she's saying, but maybe from her her intonation gather?
Yeah, so I think that maybe it's a combination here, right? I think it's a Dr. Fisher needs to assist you with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also got a 0.
Yeah, I think because I don't think you're going to get it unless Dr. Fisher is able to translate roughly. Right?
Okay.
Oh my god,
Do you want
guys.
me to assist you, or do you want to assist me? I don't care.
I mean...
What's the attribute?
Intelligence.
Okay, I have a 14, so I have a 1 in it. I'm sure you have that at least as well.
Yes.
You have the same roll,
that's
guys.
the same.
Okay, I'll do it.
The end result doesn't truly matter.
Okay, you get a
Nice.
+1, Go-Go.
That's good.
So he translates fairly well for you.
Something about purpose and...
Right, yeah. Yep.
Is that pig spleen?
I mean,
Or is
it's
that...
Mm.
not word.
Do you want to keep it?
Oh, God.
We are all going to die in this shack unless you re-roll that.
Sure. Seven.
Sorry.
Oh, I thought that was our outro music.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
like
it.
fading to
Hey, nice.
We got an
reroll.
11.
No, she added the
that's
+1.
with the plus.
Oh, you
I did
added
I
it?
did
Okay.
it right.
All right.
I was just messing over after I realized what I said.
So with a 10,
Oscar
Yeah.
looks to both of you and just says, "What the fuck is she saying?"
yeah, and so I think that Gogo, you realize very quickly that it is pretty basic and simplistic. With the translation, you're able to determine that she's asking, because the translation is she's asking what you're doing here, right? Like, pretty simply, pretty obvious question. But you were looking for the intonation of her speech, and she is not asking aggressively, but I think curiously. Almost...
Okay, not like accusatory, like...
Yeah, she's almost asking, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not curious, yes, but also kind of dumbfoundedly so. Like, why would you come here? Like, what is wrong with you?
Bewildered.
Bewildered. Thank you. Yes, that is the word I was looking for. Yeah, there is definitely a bewildered intonation in her voice. She is not sure why food would knowingly come here under the pretenses of knowing that they are food.
Yeah, I would relay that to Dr. Fisher.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Fisher, it's kind of up to you to say what you want to say here. Either you could try your hand. You rolled a 10, so you have a pretty good grasp of it. I think you could speak it well, but during an important line, there may be a luck save involved. To not use the wrong apostrophe in the wrong place.
Brilliant.
Or you could just speak in Common, or Cockney even would be probably the best, right? That would be the closest. And someone will probably understand you and translate, but again, there's also some translation there, so it's up to you.
Yeah, I think I would first kind of say something along the lines of leader of these people in the ancient tongue.
Sure.
But
yeah, the closest thing you probably know is like king or queen, right? Like some archaic terminology for a leader.
Yeah. So I kind of say that very kind of stiffly, because trying to get the correct grammar, because it's like 3 words just for each one.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's probably safer to hope my translations get through in Cockney.
Okay. So you greet her in her language, and then what do you say?
They, as you can see, our companion here is truly up the stinker, and
yeah, and I think that so you say that, and do you say anything else? Like, do you comment that you want to save him?
Yeah, I know a little bit that you folks are sturdier and even harder to die, so what's better for a dying man than to possibly get these traits to recover from the injuries?
Yeah, and I think that that you see she kind of like cocks her head to the side, and the same woman, you identify her from her clothing, who met you on the roadway. She's got her sword kind of attached to her back now. She kind of like steps forward through the doorway and whispers in the older woman's ear, and the older woman kind of like nods, and again she speaks in that odd language. No sinika no shinama. And you translate it roughly into the gift is not given away freely.
We truly understand that, and as you may know, I am originally from this planet, and I know the cities well, and should you need information in perhaps better to deal with raiding, then perhaps that information could be extremely valuable to you.
Yeah, and again, there's the translation there, and for a moment, the old lady thinks, and she says again.
I want to be clear. Oscar is not catching a word of this, right?
I mean, yeah, you could probably hear
Is it like actually in a language that he's never heard before?
So it's Cockney.
Roughly...
It's Cockney, so it's common, but like you don't know what the nouns are, right? Like the nouns are all rhyming slang, and so
Okay.
like maybe
But,
you
like,
can decipher something.
Fragments.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I know like roughly how much he would have a grasp on the
I
situation.
think that you would grasp that, kind of the same as what happened before. Dr. Fisher offered information in return for saving Chan, right? Like that's where you're at the conversation.
Okay. Sure.
You can convey some of the meaning of what I'm saying, but not what I'm actually saying.
Right. Yeah. It's clear that negotiations are ongoing about why you're here and what you want from us. And so again, the translation between the two women happens, and the old lady kind of she takes like another step forward and kind of like extends her hand to you and like gives you like a very like you see her hand is like gnarled, and you also notice she's missing 2 of her fingers. She only has a thumb, a pointer finger, and a middle finger. She's missing her ring and her pinky finger, and she kind of like beckons for you in this like gnarled hand to come closer, Dr. Fisher.
I take a step forward.
Okay, yeah, and so you get up kind of like within range of her, right? And she reaches up like very slowly and kind of just like grips you by the jaw, like very kind of gently at first. Do you do anything?
A little bit of pee may come out. But...
Yeah, and then she kind of cinches down and, like, almost painfully so, this old woman has strength in her bones. Like, it was very unexpected, and she kind of, like, pulls you down to her level, and kind of is, like, staring you right in your eyes. And from this distance, you can kind of smell the rancid smell of rotting on her breath. And you can see that as she kind of breathes with her mouth open a little bit, you can see her teeth are filed into these, like, sharp points. I want you to roll me a physical effect save, please.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Oh, Fisher.
I've never had that good
Fisher.
constitution. It's always been fantastic.
Yeah, so I think that there's a moment, and she's staring at you, and, like, you're starting to feel nauseous and dizzy a little bit. And she kind of, like, growls almost, and she's got you gripped by the jaw, so, like, you feel like if you pull away, you're going to, like, break your jaw almost. Like, that's how tough she has you. And then, like, she's staring at you, and then she, like, kind of, like, cocks her head to the side because you can feel it kind of bubbling in your gut, right? And she throws you back, and you kind of like you actually are probably lifted off your feet for a moment and kind of slide back, and then you just retch all over the ground for perhaps 30 seconds. And when that happens, the woman turns very quickly and begins to march out of the hut, and she departs, and her bodyguards kind of back out behind her, and the door is closed again, and the bar is shut. And you guys are left alone again.
Is it just me, or did that not necessarily go well?
Fisher, are you all right? What happened? Why? And she's like, coming over to try to like help you.
I'm sorry, Go-Go. It appears that even if this all goes swimmingly, the chances of you being able to happily hug Chan will be almost none.
What did she do to you? It looked like she was just looking at you, but what happened?
Well, they certainly aren't the most hygienic and pleasant of smelling people.
Not great hosts either. She like goes back and sits down.
We're likely the first that have made it this far. bizarre circumstances for them.
Aye, indeed. But I think we can still wait a bit longer.
Okay.
What is the alternative? We're
Please.
somewhat committed at this point, no?
True, but I'm sure if each and every one of us dodges, ducks, dips, dives, and dodges, one of us may be able to get back to the grab vehicle.
I love the reference.
Is there a gaze at Chan on the gurney? Because obviously he wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Kugo assumes you're talking about yourself.
So, just to preface this for you guys, night falls on this day before you are addressed ever again. When that happens, what do you guys do?
How long is it
Has it
between
been?
when they leave us?
4 to 5 hours, probably.
Okay, I would certainly have done something
Yeah.
in that period of time.
What would you like to do?
After, let's say, hour 2,
Uh-huh.
Oscar is gonna poke his head out.
Of the door?
Yeah.
It's barred from the outside.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, he could probably jostle it in a way that, you know, what does the door look like from the inside?
It again, you can actually see, like, it's not flush with the floor or the top. It looks like a bunch of 2x4s kind of bolted together, right?
Yeah.
It probably doesn't have a it probably doesn't have like an actual handle. It's probably just got like a rope, right? And so the barring isn't so much to lock you in, it's mostly just to keep it closed, because it doesn't have like a
Yeah.
latch or a door or anything.
So if I can, like, see that, I mean, that's on the outside or the inside, or
The bar's on the outside, because reasonably you would want to go be able to have it be closed and then be able to get in from the outside, right? Leave it open,
Yeah.
come back out, lock it.
can I like see that through?
Yeah,
the
you could see it.
slats?
Like you probably could like squeeze your hand through there and lift it up, but I mean you're a telekinetic, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right. If I can even see what's going on, basically he wants to open it, but retain plausible deniability about how it came to be open. If that has to, like, oh no, strong wind came by.
Roll me a perception check. Perfect. So you get out to the door and like you're kind of evaluating this, and as you're kind of like maneuvering around, like thinking to yourself, you notice movement through like the slats as well. So you focus a little more closely, and you can see that you remember that animal handler that had that large saber-toothed tiger?
Yeah, the big thing that's gonna wreck our day.
Yeah, they're actually sitting outside of the door, not too far away. And by not too far away, I mean like they're like his back is to the building, and the tiger-like figure is kind of crouched, sitting next to him, right next to the door. They would notice if you opened it.
Okay, but I can like look out somewhat.
Yeah, you can see through like the slats again, even the walls. Like you can probably even like go over
Okay, so then
and
he
see
wants
him.
to. I want to like try and assess the situation while we're waiting.
Yeah, I mean like so. What
It's
do
like
you?
what all can I see?
So it's
outside.
very limited, but like putting your face up against the wall and looking out the cracks, you can get a pretty good idea of what's going on all sides of you at this point. You can see that there's you know the large cat and the tamer or whatever. They definitely appear to be like the guards right now. You can see the people kind of milling about doing random things. Mostly it looks like they are like shoring up their little abodes, right? Like a lot of people are outside, like, slapping fresh snow and packing it into the gaps in their little huts so that they can be more insulated. Everyone looks pretty dutiful. Hey, what else would they be doing, kind of just randomly inside the town?
How many do I see? So there are, like, several individuals milling around and, like, tending to their houses and such. Do any of them resemble, like, more guards? Like, how many
All
of them
are
armed?
All of them. With
Every
something.
single one is armed.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And but again, it's that kind of armament where one of them might have, like, a club at their side, and then the next one over might have a pistol. And then the one past that might have a bow and arrow strapped across their back, and then the next one might have
every single one of them is in a field uniform.
No, and the reason why I said that is to denote importance upon that figure.
Yes. Okay, I'm just curious.
Yep. Most of them
that doesn't matter.
Most of them are wearing nothing, actually, like just rags. Occasionally, you might see one with, like, a heavy jacket, but other than that, it's almost no armor at all.
God. Well, I think Oscar goes and he kind of, you see him go to each of the walls and he's, like, finding these little nooks and crannies to look through.
Yeah, like a knot that's been popped out of the wood somewhere that you can, like, place, kind of like maneuver around and see most of the outside. Yeah.
Right. And after he does that for maybe, a couple of minutes, he says to the both of you, it's like, we may freeze in this shed if they don't intend to come back for us. I don't think they have. I think they've safely forgotten what cold is. What do we do?
Go shivering says, well, what did you see when you looked through the doors? Is there a guard?
There's big fellow with the cat. But the plan, such as I understand it, requires us to wait for them. No?
That would be correct.
Well,
perhaps they are just biding their time, as this is a truly unusual situation.
that may be time we do not have.
I mean, it's probably around this time that I would be injecting Chan with another.
Yeah, totally.
Skin.
Yep, that sounds about right.
As it is, Chan stays here unless we play by their rules. So, I assume we're not willing to abandon that at the moment. I just worry that if we go in too deep, even if it's not intentional on their part, we may not get out of here.
If you have a better idea than wait, I am all ears, but unfortunately, that seems like our only option.
Well, the opportunity to kill one and bring it back in the grav car has passed. So, yes, I suppose we wait.
Okay. So, again, we proceed a couple of more hours, and the temperature is dropping, but, you're at least covered from the wind, which is a blessing.
Is this, I want to be clear, because, like, we know what we would know what this environment is like.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like I said,
we're
it's
all-
like it's tundra.
Okay.
It is cold. It is not completely unlivable, but prolonged exposure is definitely grounds for something like frostbite for sure.
Sure,
For
but
you,
we're-
it means chitin falling off.
Yeah, that's fine. That grows back. But like, we're not gonna die. I'm
Not after
asking,
one
like,
night. No, one night
Okay.
is not going to kill you.
So
It's more like you guys might want to find water faster than you'll die to exposure. At least at this point. If you guys were out in the wind, like out on the tundra itself, yeah, you'd have a problem. But here, you're safe at least for the night.
I have my handy dandy backpack,
You do.
and I do have survival kits.
You do.
And I do have rations.
You do.
So, is there like kindling in here? You said this is like.
I
some
bet there's a
busted
fire starter.
asshole,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But is there anything to light? In like
You could
wood
you could-
enough that we could.
Yeah, you could probably find enough of like the timbers on the roof. Probably some of them have fallen down.
Yeah,
They're
So I
dry
think-
rotted, so they may take a while, and they're probably damp. But yeah, you could get them to light for sure.
Yeah, I think Oscar, anticipating that they may be stuck here a while, starts like collecting the less structurally important beams that he can get his
Sure.
hands on. Yeah, like so he starts amassing and like breaking up pieces of wood, and you know he's preparing for the potential that they're going to have to stay here overnight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. So, night falls, and you guys maybe like, settle down, try to get comfortable, and perhaps at around would be like 9 or 10 p.m. You hear the door unbar. And in steps a figure, and again, it's dark, right? So you can't really tell who or what it is. But after the figure steps in, you see the door close, and it bars behind you, or behind the figure. And kind of stepping over, not getting too close, but like kind of standing in the frame. You see this figure kind of crouch down and just kind of observe you for a moment. Does anyone say anything?
Gogo still has her goggles on, by the way.
Oh, well
So what did she
then
see?
you recognize that it is the woman that originally stopped you. You can see she has her sword on her back, and she's kind of just like crouching with her forearms on her knees, in like a crouch position, and she just appears to be like looking between four of you.
I think in somewhat irritation, before she thinks too hard about it, Gogo just says, "Yes, we're still here."
Yeah, and I think you see there's a bit of like a not a startling, but like a bit of like a surprise, like a kind of like a lean back, and she says, "I was not aware that the living could see in the dark."
Gogo taps her goggles and doesn't really say anything.
What are they?
They're mine.
What is their purpose?
They help me see you.
You can see like she's thinking
I
for
love
a
how
moment.
Fisher doesn't say anything. Continue.
And she takes that in, and then you see her kind of look at Chan, who's slightly glowing with this kind of red glow. That's probably the only light in here, actually, is Chan's like slightly glowing form, because it's like bioluminescence, right? She looks at him and she says, "How did he happen
we got attacked when we were in flight, and one of the other members shot him in the head, which...
In flight.
Yes. We have our own spaceship.
It flies in the stars.
It does indeed. There are many wonders out there.
Why do you save that which is dead? I smell it on him.
He is important to us.
How?
I don't know if you would still remember these words, but a friend.
Yeah, and I think you see, like, again, the kind of, like, thinking... Gogo, do you say anything?
No. I don't think at her inquiry into Chan, I think it kind of shuts her up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think she says... Friends are many, but also enemies are many more. Why is this friend important enough to curse?
I think I give a glance at where I know Gogo sitting, in the light, dim illumination.
I think you hear her breathing much heavier than she was a few moments ago.
It's...
As you stutter, I think she says, "Does the reason matter? Can you help us or not?"
Yeah, and I think she like looks at you, almost intrigued. She says, "So you believe the All-Mother that this is a gift of life? This is false. I lost many friends because of this so-called gift. And the worst is I cannot even end it. Many have tried."
I think that I say, if you could undo it, would you?
It would mean certain death. But yes, anything is better than living with this vileness in my stomach.
So at this point, I think so. It's like it's pretty darn dark in here, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's pitch black. Like I said, the only thing is like the gently glowing corpse of Chan, and then probably that reflected in this woman's eyes, and the slight green haze from Gogo's goggles.
At that point, Oscar like slowly gets to his feet and then stands up, and he gets up, kind of faces the direction that noise is coming from, and he says, "It may be hard for you to believe, but we would be allies in this."
Yeah, and
he extends his hand kind of like blindly.
You extend the hand to the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gogo, as soon as Oscar started to get up, you notice she gets up too. It's clear that she can see way better than you guys can.
And he's banking on that.
She stands up immediately,
to,
and
non-threatening.
as Oscar begins to hold his hand, you see her hand just kind of finger her sword, and her eyes are fully focused on Oscar now, ignoring the three of you. And when he says that, she kind of she looks at Dr. Fisher and Gogo, because she knows that you can see her, Gogo, so she looks at Gogo almost questioningly. Do you give any acknowledgement to this?
I think she says it's not a threat.
Yeah, and then slowly her arm begins to descend, and she says, "There is no saving your friend with what possesses here." And you see that she picks up she bends down and picks up a bone that probably has some crap attached to it, and you see that she spits on it, Gogo, and she just holds it out in front of her, and you can see this, none of the rest can see it, but you can see her spittle begins to acidically burn through the bone and melt through it, and then once she knows that you've seen that, she tosses it to the side. She says, "You have been led wrong. We do not give the gift. Only the Oracle does."
Gogo shivers, clearly not because of the cold. And just says, "What? And has she decided not to give it?"
It decides the fate of everyone. You must prove yourself or be tested against it. You say that there is possibility of reversal. The Oracle has stated that this is the best interest of all. I wonder if it will agree with you when you are presented to it.
When?
Do you say when, as a question?
Yep.
Yeah. She kind of looks and she says, "You will come with me. You will not speak. You will not make noise. The Oracle will show you what you desire, this gift."
Then that is all we can hope for.
Yeah, and she turns around and you see her, and as she knocks on the door, you hear the bar go up, and she opens it, and as she's walking out, she turns and she says, "You will come, no noise. Try not to smell too much. They will follow. We must hurry."
He does exactly that.
Yeah,
He
Alex
readies up.
Yep.
gets up and
Gogo assumes the position to push Chan.
Yep. And as you guys enter out into the night, you see that there's not a lot of people moving, but it's actually a little bit easier to see out here because without the light pollution that happens in major cities, the stars and the reflection of I think there's 2 moons on Eurypylus, actually. I didn't actually write that down anywhere. We'll say there's 2 moons. Reflecting the star that shines here actually quite brightly. You can see fairly well across the tundra scape. And there's a big kind of tarp, and you can see there's a group of individuals standing outside. It's approximately 6 other of these creatures, both in variety of sizes and shapes. Again, some are big and bulky, some are tiny, and you can see one that kind of looks like maybe a childlike figure. Gogo, I don't know if you recognize it. It is dark even with your goggles on. Is one of these individuals. And they're all kind of arrayed in this equipment. They have, they have their sidearms, or they have their bows and arrows, or they have their spears, or they have their... one of them probably has, like, a combat rifle. And you see the woman, she begins to, like, do a bunch of hand signals, and they kind of form in around you, and they have a big tarp, and they toss it over Chan so that he doesn't glow, and they begin marching you towards the north. And they march you directly out of the village. And that's a great place to take our break. So.
Interesting.
So we'll be back at 5 after, and we're gonna get some more on Fortune when we come back.
Yeah.
So, stay tuned.
Uh,
We'll be back in a moment.